would like to switch a little bit with perspective. We talked about a lot about technology and what needs to happen. I look more from a financial point of view on the entire software development. The last years, we had great times. Money was there. We could spend all the money in the world in order to drive software. We strongly believe this is changing. And this will have fundamental changes in the way we do software. I mean, Maria talked about it. We need to do more together. We need to be more standardized. But there are also very fundamental management things that are missing in the way we do software. And we would like to talk about this one. But let's start first with what happened in the last years. I mean, software 2016, 17 was the key thing. Everyone was saying, okay, software is the key differentiator, and the automotive industry, especially the German OEM, said, we will compete with the big tech companies, and we have a right to play and the right to win there. So we built up quite big software teams. And then we did in 2021 a study asking all major OEMs, how much do you spend for software development? Not the combination software and hardware, pure software alone. Either you do it on your own or you purchase parts and licenses from third parties. That's the numbers that we got. We update this number every single year. And you see the trajectory is crazy. I mean, we always double within 5 years. How much money do we need to throw in the system? The other interesting thing is, if we look to the in-house shares, the dark blue, what they do today, 2020, in-house, and what's their ambition to do in-house. You see quite often in-house shares of 80, 90%. Does this make sense? I mean, Maria talked about it. Is there so much differentiating parts in the software content that you do need to do everything in-house? First question. Second question, can I do it at a reasonable price? I mean, I'm hardly aware of major OEM that has a low-cost development hub somewhere. There are a few exceptions, but the majority is developing software in high-cost country locations. Big question mark whether this is the right way to do it. This was all fine. When the last years, due to a shortage of supply, the OEMs could raise prices quite significantly. We looked for a few OEMs, and you see the prices the last 5 years grow by roughly 20%. And this led to first a quite significant increase in revenues, but more importantly, in profits. So money was there. The OEMs earned money like crazy the last years, so nobody was worrying about spending another 100 million, 200 million, $1 billion on software, because money was there, and it's a differentiating thing. We believe this is changing. That's the latest projection from IHS on the share of battery electric vehicles and plugins that we need to push in the market. And at least for Europe, we believe there's no alternative than to do so. I mean, the fines, because of the CO2 emission regulations, are preventing every single OEM not to comply. So we need to push electric vehicle in the market, regardless whether we believe the customer is ready, and regardless whether we get any support as industry from the governments. The last years, the governments threw in money like hell, tax credits, direct subsidies. So there was a lot of pull generated by we throw money into the system. But the fundamental problem isn't resolved yet. If you compare the cost of material, so material cost of a combustion engine vehicle with a battery electric vehicle. We took as example, real life example of a C-segment SUV. Both have the same retail price of about 40,000 euros. And the material cost is difference is about 8,000 euros. 8,000 euros less contribution margin. Now imagine you need to sell half of your vehicles with 8,000 euros less contribution margins. Can you cut your own cost in the overhead that dramatically? We have doubts. And this will have major implications also for the software development. You know the first part you already know from the first picture. That's the belief from our interview partners or the OEMs, what's possible the next years until the end of the decade. If we continue to do it in the old way. Everybody does its own stuff. We hardly have any reuse. We do everything from scratch. We allow so many different branches of software because we have different requirements for every single vehicle. The numbers will grow like infinitely. We believe there need to be somewhere a cut point, and this needs to come the next 2, maximum 3 years. And the main enabler is we need to do less on integration and we need to do less on testing. And if you look at the overall spend, there's enough room to do something there. And if we do this, we do less on integration efforts, we do less testing, and we also save a little bit on maintenance. We can even increase the amount of money that we spend for functional improvements, new features, better performing features. So this is really for us, the main priority for the entire industry. Software first. Reduce the number of variances and reduce the complexity. Go to new software architectures that allow easier integration, allow easier reuse. Think about partnerships. Do not do everything on your own. Try to reuse bits and pieces and to have a cross-OEM integration platform that will resolve a lot of the issues. Fix the fundamental management problems in software development. Things that we know since years and decades in mechanical system development, apply them also for software. And then get also the tools, the development environments ready that we have it there. And there are enough examples out there. If you compare on the very right-hand side, a traditional OEMs, how much do they spend for the development of an ADAS stack or an infotainment stack, and compare it with the startup OEMs, either from China or North America. You see the numbers are crazily different. And even if we adjust for performance or complexity, the difference is still huge. So there are enough examples out. Maria pointed a few of them that we can change, but we need to be willing to do so. First thing for us is software first. We started in the entire industry, we always start with product management says what kind of vehicles do we want to have, and then we define from the vehicle requirements what are the requirements for software. We really need to change this. Saying we drive innovations by having a very strict long-term release plan for features on the software side, and then we allocate these software features to vehicles. Yes, the implications are huge because we need to put in much more hardware in the first vehicles. And we have at the moment as industry no idea how to monetize them. Function on demand is a funny thing. If you try to get it through at sales at an OEM, it's a nightmare because this really would change all their processes, all their beliefs. So they have no real answer to do so. But it's a prerequisite. But you really have enough headroom in the first vehicles to push later new software versions. The benefits, if you really realize it, are enormous, but the changes are even more dramatic. Second thing, do new software architectures. Get away from this distributed for every single group of functions in own ECU. Try to consolidate it. Go to microservice wherever it's possible. We are fully aware it's not the solution for everything, but it's a solution for a huge part of the software that we have in the car. If we really have managed this one, the reuse, the integration, the upgradability is way easier to achieve. Helps you on the maintenance side, helps you especially on the integration side. Yes, the efforts are huge, but they are worth it. The other thing that we believe is necessary in order to bring costs down is we need to do more cross OEMs. Every OEM having its own operating system, its own middleware makes no sense. Requires suppliers to reinvent things that they already have done. And we see two solutions. First is open standards, that we really across OEMs define interfaces between functionality, services, and the middleware and the hardware. Challenge for us, looking at especially at AUTOSAR, it's too slow. Can you define the things that are important quickly enough that everybody is agreeing to it, but we really make it happen? We more believe in open source. When there are enough examples out in the world that our open source works, mean, looking at the first picture that I showed at the beginning, the in-house share. One of the reasons why the OEMs go that crazy on in-house, because there was no supplier offering. If I say no supplier offering, no well-explained supplier offering. What is there out? So I need to do it on my own if there's no offering. With an open source middleware, you can at least get rid of this thing. I'm dependent on a single player, and they can trick me, and I need to pay crazy money in the long term. You have at least some flexibility to change the supplier. And we know from discussions with the suppliers that the first major discussions are going on, that we go in this direction, that open source for the middleware can become a solution. Not tomorrow, but maybe the day after tomorrow. We believe that would be really a game changer, because if you have a cross OEM middleware, you're a supplier, you have a feature, you can sell it now without reinventing everything to the next. And we deliver still functionality to customers without having so much integration and testing cost. But I said, okay, it's not only technology and new approaches, there are also in many cases the fundamentals of management are missing. In the project that we did the last years, we quite often came across that there's no KPI systems in order to steer software development. So the software engineers could basically do everything what they wanted because there had been no budgets agreed, no milestones agreed. The other thing that very often is missing, there's no idea how much should software cost. It's a complete black box for most of the managements. We try to help players there, but it's a long way to go. If you have an understanding how much effort should go in a certain piece of software, then you can also set intermediate steps in order to measure them, whether they are progressing in a way that you expect them to progress. The last thing that we see is missing is state-of-the-art tool chains and development environments. That's the last thing that is missing, that you really have continuous integration, continuous deployment, work stream framework, fully integrated tools, having the right setup, have a high automation level in order to make software development as easy and as efficient as possible. That's for us the prerequisites for the next years in order to afford progress on the software side. We strongly believe that the crazy times of software we can spend as much as we want are over, because as an industry we cannot afford to do or to continue this way.